Hi there and welcome to Flipping Heck Business, Flip Learning for AQA A-Level Business Studies. We are now on Unit 3, Video 5B. So we're looking at like segmentation, positioning and markets. Now Unit 3 is of course decision making to improve marketing performance. So in this video we're going to be looking at how to choose a market. So influences there, what the difference is between niche and mass markets, and then target markets as well. So if you're looking, again, this all links very closely. So our segmentation, targeting and positioning links to the marketing strategy, competitiveness, market research, marketing mix, added value, right? So these are all areas that you can link back to in your actual exams. So when choosing a market, a company really needs to put a lot of thought into this. Now, there are certain influences that it actually has. Now, don't forget the market is the overall sales or overall sales volume of the total sales of a particular market. So we could be looking at the car industry. Well, that would be all the sales of everything to do with cars all put together. So when you're trying to decide, well, where am I actually going to go? You need to first of all look at the nature of your product. So is the product something designed to be mass produced? Is it something that you're going to make a lot of? Is it easy to make? Or is it something that can only be created maybe a few or even just one at a time? The competition, so I mean, like, is it local competition? Are you looking at going global? Are you going national? Is it fierce? Is it worldwide? Is it innovative? So are people coming up with brand new ideas? Are you going to have to keep on top of, like, you know, keep ahead of everybody else? Is it steady? Are you actually going to end up being in competition with like the same people, or is it going to be new competitors coming through constantly? Then you look at the consumer as well. So do they want a lot of your product? Do they want to purchase it regularly? Is it just a one-off purchase? Who are you actually supplying it to? I mean, like, how much money have they got? And then finally, it's the market features itself. So its size, is it big? Is it growing? Does it fit with your brand? Does it have stayability? Is it something that you're going to be able to produce in constantly for years to come? So once we've actually decided, well, what type of market we're going into, we need to have a look and go, right, well, are we going to go into niche market or mass market? So a niche market is where a business identify and satisfy the demands of a smaller segment of a larger market. Whereas mass marketing is where businesses aim their products at most of the available market. If you look at the picture below, we've got the mass market is just sort of aiming for that one big overall percentage of that market, the big person. Whereas the niche market, you can see they are looking for like grabbing all sorts of like, you know, different bits, different sort of angles in that larger market. So here you can see, so a niche market targets very small segment of a market, and its sales tend to be lower, but prices are usually higher because there's there's fewer people maybe who've got the demand for it, but the ones who are there do not mind spending the money. So if we looked at examples, it would be things like Chinese restaurants versus McDonald's, which is mass market, so appealing to a whole market, higher volumes of sales but usually low price. So Chinese market is catering to Chinese audiences and to people who want Chinese food, whereas McDonald's is catering to everyone. It's going global. It's not just in a local area. Dog groomers or dog walkers are specific to dogs. That is their niche market, whereas Pets at Home is aiming for everybody who is within the pet branding. And bearing in mind that that is a £5 billion industry in the UK alone, then you can see that, like, you know, sort of, is it better to blanket bomb and like try and just get everybody in, or would you be better off being specific, tailoring your company to meet the needs of the few? Bespoke tailors, so, you know, creating suits that are creating suits or clothing that is designed just for the person who's buying it, or Primark, who would create massive amounts of the same product and people would go to them and it would be cheap and they could buy it cheaply. A gin distillery who might actually just be supplying in the local area, or maybe, like, you know, they're only hitting people who are fans of gin, whereas you get Pepsi is again aiming for a much broader market, and they may have, like, you know, their own individual segments within that, but overall they are hitting the cola market, they're hitting the fizzy drink market, and they are making a lot of sales, but each product is sold at a lot lower a price. So why target niche market segments? I mean, like if it's only not going to have as many sales, then why would you bother doing it? So advantages are that tends to be less competition. You can be the big fish in a small pond. So you've got a clear focus. You've got to target particular customers. You know what they want. Those specific people want. You just need to keep giving it to them. It builds up any kind of specialist skills or knowledge that you might have. So there have been companies in the past that have specialized in shoes, and they've decided, right, well, actually, we're losing sales in our company, and they've changed it so that they might sell women's style shoes to men, because there is a niche market there. If you look on YouTube, there are some videos available on a particular brand in the UK that actually did that. They can also often charge a higher price, which means that they can offer higher profit margins as well. So they might be making less, but they are charging enough to actually still make a tidy profit. And the customers tend to be much more loyal. So, if you're providing something for them, specifically for them, they'll keep coming back to you over and over again. Whereas the drawbacks, it could be that it lacks the economies of scale that is required. So the economies of scale is something we'll be looking at in future dates, but that is basically that the bigger a company gets, the smaller the operational costs go. So think about you'll buy machinery, you'll be able to mass produce items, you are able to actually pay off your fixed costs a lot sooner. There could be a risk of over-dependence on a single product or market. Imagine what has happened to Coke since they have been told that they need to drop the sugar content. Well, they're not producing quite as many items, they're not producing quite as popular a product, or they're having to put the price up. And it's really going to hit their figures, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what the sugar tax in the UK actually does to them. It could also attract competition. If you are successful, people go, well, hold on, what are they doing? Why can't I do that? Again, puppy daycares, going back to the dog analogy. There are a lot more springing up now where, people can go and drop their dogs off for the day and it'll be looked after, and then they just pick them up on a night. Well, that was a very specialist area, but now there's a lot more coming around because people have seen how successful they are. And it could be vulnerable to market changes as well. I mean, if you're putting all of your investment into one or two products and styles or tastes change, then that's going to have a major impact on your productivity, on your actual profit line as well. So that was niche market, but if we look at key features of mass market, so really niche markets, you just need to reverse them. So customers form the majority in the market. Customer needs and wants are more general and less specific. So they just want a fizzy drink as opposed to a particular flavor of drink. Associated with high production, output and capacity. So again, we have that kind of economies of scale coming into play. And then the success is usually associated with low cost, so highly efficient operation, or a market leading brand. So if you look at iPhone, then Apple have got a market leading brand. They've got a highly efficient production system, so they are able to mass produce cheaply, but yet still can get away with charging very high prices. So who are they actually trying to get with these? So we're looking for a target market, especially in a niche group, you'd be looking for a target market. Now, a target market is a particular group of consumers at which a product or service is aimed, and they share similar needs and wants. So in other words, they are a particular group that the company is going to aim for or aim a product at, and they all have similar requirements, be it styles or tastes or anything like that. So there are three main strategies for actually targeting a market. So we've got mass marketing, which is undifferentiated. So in other words, a business will target a whole market. They are ignoring the segments. They will just go for absolutely everybody that they can. They just try and blanket bomb the entire market and produce a product that focuses just on the needs and wants in common, but not exactly anything specific. Then you've got segmented, which is differentiated. So a business will target several market segments within the same market. Products are designed and then targeted at each segment, and it requires separate marketing plans and often different business units and product portfolios as well. So there, think like Unilever might produce male and female products that are very similar in style, and they certainly fall into the same like health and beauty range, but they're not the exact same. They're aiming for those different segments, which we looked at in the last video. And then there could be concentrated, which is niche marketing. So it will focus on a small segments or just like narrow niches, and it will aim to achieve strong market position within those niches. So it will try to be the top of its range within that. So some examples. So global. So we've got Burger King. So they are just fast food. They're trying to hit as many people as they absolutely can. They have a few different products within them, but overall, they're just relying on huge amounts of people coming into their store every day. Evian water, again, same thing. I mean, like it's just mass-produced water. They may put it into different bottles, but it is the same product, and it is for everybody. Gap clothing, similar thing again. So they are actually like looking at just specifically types of clothing. They're just mass producing it, and then people are just coming along and buying it. They're not looking for anything bespoke. Examples are segmented. So we could look at Kellogg's. So here we've got examples, Crunchy Nut, Cocoa Pops and Cornflakes. So cornflakes might be for just people who are, you know, like a plain breakfast in the morning. They might like to add their own sugar. Whereas Cocoa Pops is aimed more at children. So it is aimed at, you know, sort of encouraging them to come along. It's got the chocolate, it's got all the flavors that they like. And then Crunchy Nut is kind of aimed at maybe young adults or like adults who still want something quite sweet in their breakfast, but it's not specifically aimed at children. And then if you look at concentrated niches, I mean, like certainly the market, the meat markets. So if you look at like there's Manchester Fish Market in the Arndale, then, you know, it is specifically designed just at people who want fish. And of course, people come along, they can buy whatever they want. I mean, like that's a Goliath brown grouper, which is a massive fish, and they can buy it or not. But it's not blank, like it's only local businesses. We've got butchers there, and of course, vegan shops as well, who are specifically just aiming for vegan people or vegan lifestyle people without actually like going any further. Like they're not necessarily going to be, there isn't necessarily a big enough market in order to bother producing more and more and more of these products. Right, okay, thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a comment below and a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and video 5C will be following shortly.